students, here comes with a new topic, that is fluid friction. Okay, so fluid is actually part of the matter that we see in day-to-day life, but most of the students compare fluid with only and only liquid part. Okay, as you know, we are having solid, liquid and gas in the matters, but the part liquid and the gases both together are considered to be as fluid. Okay, do not consider liquid portion as a fluid only. Anything that could flow, okay, anything that could flow, okay, is actually fluid. So you can guess by the name that air is flowing. Okay, so air is a kind of fluid. Okay, water is flowing. So water is a kind of fluid. Liquid is flowing. Any kind of liquid it could be kerosene, petrol or gasoline. Okay, petrol is a gasoline. Okay, and paraffin. Okay, and glycerin. Okay, lots of liquid portions are there. Honey, okay, honey is also a kind of liquid. So it is very viscous in form, it is so hard. Okay, viscous, that means it is not flowing in a very speed. But it is a part of liquid, so we can say that it is a fluid also. Okay, so here your concept of fluid is clear, that fluid is actually a liquid and a gas. Okay, not solid but liquid and a gas. So the frictional force that are provided by these two terms, that is liquid and gas, or we can say fluid, is known as fluid friction. Now you will get to know how fluid is actually providing frictional force on the surface. Fluid friction is actually the force, and the force of friction that is provided by the fluid, that is the gas and the liquid. So here frictional force exerted by the liquid and gas is called the fluid friction. Okay, and also we can say it as a drag force because it is dragging it. Okay, the name drag comes here with the topic that the fluid is actually flowing, and anything that is moving here on the surface of the fluid is actually get dragged. Okay, because on the surface of the solid we get things slide. Actually we are using the slide word for the thing that is sliding over it, but in case of fluid we use the term as dragging. Okay, so that is why here written as drag. So consider slide and drag together, but drag is actually used a term that is used in case of fluid friction, and sliding should be used in case of normal friction, that is not fluid, that is solid friction actually. Okay, so here is the one example that we can take accordingly to the fluid friction, that when an aeroplane flies in air, it faces resistance from air, which reduces its speed. Okay, and the air resistance is the frictional force of air or the fluid. Here, as you can see, the plane is flying in the air, so we can say that the air is actually in contact with the surface of the plane. Okay, like the plane is in this condition and the air is coming like this. Okay, so here they are in contact with the surface like this. Okay, so now this surface, these molecules will be in contact, and the irregularities will also be here. The irregularities of the surface of the plane will get inherit, okay, or adhesive force would be there, small quantity of adhesive force, because fluid is not having lots of frictional force. Okay, in compared to the solid frictional force, here we are not getting lots of thing. Okay, but still if there is something, then we have to consider that too. Fluid friction is actually playing a very important role here. Okay, so here providing some external force in the opposite direction of the motion, like plane is moving in this direction, so air will move in this direction. Air is not actually moving, let's suppose air is still, but a plane is crossing it here in this thing. Okay, so air is automatically get in contact with this, like this, like this. So automatically the surface get rubbed, and the surface get rubbed, so we can say that a frictional force is working here. Okay, and that frictional force is actually opposing the motion of the object. It could be anything. After example 1, we are having example number 2, that is also related to the fluid friction. Okay, when the speedboat moves in the sea, it faces resistance from water in the sea. Yes, and the frictional force that is provided by water is actually a fluid friction, because in the earlier case also we have seen that air is providing a resistance in the flow of aeroplane. So here in this case, as you can see in the diagram, the boat wants to move in some direction, and because it is in contact with the water and the surface of the water insists between the irregularities of the boat, and that when in the contact with the surface of the boat will have certain kinds of bonds, and that bonds have to be broken up, and ultimately it gives the value of friction. Okay, so here a frictional force also plays a role, but compared to the solid friction, let me tell you again, it is reduced in magnitude. Okay, compared to solid, like box is rolling over, like box is sliding on the surface, it has certain magnitude of the friction. Now comparing it to the liquid and the air resistance, so we are having less frictional value. That is why it is easier for the ship to go from country to country and for the aeroplane to reach from one place to another in just few hours. Okay, and compared to the road, like if you are transporting from the road, it would have taken some time.